In 2023 alone, Ghana imported about $158 million worth of cane and beet sugar with Brazil supplying more than 154 million kilograms of that product. Although Ghana has favorable conditions for growing sugarcane, the issue is how we can build or produce to meet that demand. So you heard it here. Ghana spends between 350 and 500 million dollars every year just to import sugar and sugar cane. Let's now move to the commodities market to bring you how much crude oil, gold, and cocoa are being sold on the global market. Crude oil has increased by the price of crude oil has increased by $4 and is selling at $79, up from the $75 per barrel it sold on Thursday. Yes. So as of last week, Thursday, crude oil, that is the price of crude oil per barrel, was $79, and this afternoon the price has decreased. Actually, it was $75 on Thursday, and today it has gone up by $4, so it's selling at $79 per barrel. And gold is being pegged at $4,335, up from the $4,257 it was being sold on Thursday. So as of Thursday, that is last week Thursday, when we had our last show for the week, gold per ounce was $4,257, and today the price has shot up a little bit and it's being sold at $4,335. That's per ounce. So it has increased by about $78. Let's look at cocoa now. That cocoa price is at $5,694 per ton, and that is up from the $5,590 per ton as it was sold on Thursday. As of Thursday, it was sold at $5,990 per ton. Today, the price has gone up from that amount to $5,694 per ton. So cocoa price has increased significantly by about $104 just within some 5 days. Let's move straight to the interbank retail currencies market. Let's look at the exchange rate as put out by the BOG. Now the dollar is selling at 11 cedis 76 pesos. And if you want to buy, you are likely to buy it at 11 cedis 75 pesos. The British pound is going for 15 cedis 88 pesos. And if you want to buy, you are likely to buy it at 15 cedis 86 pesos. The euro is selling at 13 cedis 60 pesos. And it's buying at 13 cedis 59 pesos. So this is how much you're likely to buy the major currencies, the dollar, the pound, and the euro, on the interbank retail market. That is, if you went to any of the commercial banks, the Standard Bank, the UMB, the ABSA, the GCB, the CBG, the Prudential, and all those banks, you are likely to buy the currencies at this rate. Remember, it may be higher or lower in the forex bureaus, that is the regulated forex bureaus, but do not go to the black market. It is illegal to do so. Have you checked how your stocks are doing on the Ghana Stock Exchange lately? If you invested in Casapreco, MTN, Cowbank, and all those equities, do you want to know how your stocks are doing? Well, Kathleen Darcy of Databank has an update for us.
The stock market ended the week on Friday with price gains in 4 equities against 6 laggards. The top gainers were Clydestone, Das Pharma and ETI, while intravenous infusions, Access Bank and Atlantic Lithium declined. Driven by the price moves, the Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index declined to a year-to-date return of 73.17%, while the Databank Stock Index retained 85.11%. MTN Ghana and Casapreco traded the most, accounting for 57.6% of the market turnover after trading 2.9 million shares across 26 counters. For Databank Research, Kathleen Darcy.
And here in the studio, my name is Nana Oye Ankrah. It's now time for us to look at the stories that are shaping the Ghanaian economy and the global economy. Nana Juman Prempe, my co-host, is seated. Nana, it's a new week, but what is that big story that is shaping the economy? What should investors and ordinary Ghanaians like us should look at?
So it's treasury bills,
T-bills.
Yes, government has exceeded its treasury target for during its last auction. So it's a good time for investors to jump onto that. So the government has exceeded its treasury bills target by 73%, with the 1-year bill yield inching up to almost 13%. According to auction results by the Bank of Ghana, most investors once again bought more than the 364-day bill due to its high interest rate. The following report has more.
The government got 10.7 billion Ghana cedis of the bids tendered but accepted 9.4 billion Ghana cedis. The 364-day bill was once again the most subscribed bill, with a little over 6.0 billion Ghana cedis of the bids tendered, representing 55.8% of the total bids. The uptake was, however, 5.8 billion Ghana cedis. The 182-day bill received bids of 1.9 billion Ghana cedis. A little above 1.1 billion Ghana cedis was accepted. The 182-day bill received bids of 1.9 billion Ghana cedis. A little above 1.1 billion Ghana cedis was accepted. For the 91-day bill, 6.0 billion Ghana cedis of the bids were tendered. A little above 5.8 billion Ghana cedis of the bids were accepted. Meanwhile, interest rates were mixed on the yields curve. The 91-day bill dropped to 5.62%. The 182-day bill also declined to 7.52%, and the 364-day surged to 12.98%.
So that was a News X report. Now, the Tourism Minister Abdulaji Fagomashi has announced that Ghana recorded 1.3 million international tourist arrivals in 2025, generating an estimated $4.34 billion in tourism revenue. The figure represents an increase from the more than 1.2 million international tourist arrivals recorded in 2024, reflecting continued growth in Ghana's tourism sector. She said the increase in international arrivals translated into significant economic activity and strengthened the contribution of tourism to the national economy. She spoke at the Government Accountability Series a while ago.
International tourist arrivals reached 1303962 people in 2025, which is an increase over the 2024 figure of 1288804. Domestic tourism grew from 1.68 million visits in 2024 to 1.7 million visits in 2025, representing 7% growth. The total revenue generated from the arrivals in 2025 is 4.34 billion, I beg your pardon. The 10 most visited attractions in Ghana combined to draw 1,377,588 visitors in 2025. This accounted for roughly 77% of all domestic tourism site visits nationwide.
Ablaji Fagowashi is the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Creative Act. On the international front, Nigeria's foreign exchange demand for oil sector imports surged by 114.91% in 2025, highlighting the country's continued reliance on imported petroleum products and related inputs. This was disclosed in the recently released Central Bank of Nigeria's 2025 annual report and statement of accounts, which showed that foreign exchange utilized for oil sector imports rose to $4.86 billion compared with about $2.26 billion recorded in 2024. The report also indicated that petroleum related imports remained the second largest consumer of foreign exchange among visible imports, accounting for 25.91% of the total import related to forex utilization during the year. According to the Central Bank in Nigeria, aggregate foreign exchange utilization across the economy expanded significantly in 2025, driven largely by increased demand for invisible import and higher import related transactions. So, now those are stories shaping both the local and international economies.
Thank you, Nanajuman Prempe. It's good to hear some good news concerning T bills and well, some international stories. Nigeria's foreign exchange demand for oil sector imports surged. That is very, very good for the Nigeria's economy. If you have been following the Nigeria's economy, is doing very well when it comes to oil imports, and if the non-oil sector is also doing very well, that is good. But this has to do with oil sector imports. So of course, the economy is seeing some growth in Nigeria. I'm talking about the Nigerian economy. We will be delving into a big conversation shortly, but I would want to see where I can take you on the continent to look at other big business stories that are happening in other countries. So let me take you to Uganda. Uganda, very interesting story there, and it says that Uganda lawmakers probe missing vehicles from toll records. Ugandan lawmakers have demanded an explanation from the government after an audit found more than 10,000 vehicles could not be reconciled in toll records for the Kampala and Tebe Expressway, raising concerns over revenue collection and the security of the electronic tolling system. So they have the electronic tolling system. However, a lot of vehicles did not pass through this did not pass through that system. They could not reconcile. So 10,000 vehicles could not go through the electronic tolling system. So we should be worried. We should be worried, Ima. We should be worried in Ghana because we are looking at doing the same. The reason why they collapsed their tolling system was because they said that we're not getting the needed revenue now, and the government had introduced another law, that is the e-levy. So of course that had to go, and the explanation they gave then was that they wanted to reduce the burden, the financial burden on Ghanaians. So introducing one levy means that they had to scrap one. Yes, good. Now the current government says we are going to reintroduce it. But this time around, we are making it electronic. Uganda is making us understand that even if it is electronic, we should be worried. If the system is not as robust as it should be, people will still find a way to, divert funds and, if possible, not pay. So the Ugandan lawmakers are demanding an explanation from the government after an audit found more than 10,000 vehicles could not be reconciled in toll records for the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway, raising concerns over revenue collection and the security of the electronic tolling system. This is very interesting. An internal audit found that 10,446 vehicles were missing from toll records across November 2024, December 2025, and May 2026, according to findings presented to Parliament's Committee on Physical Infrastructure. The discrepancies included 586 vehicles in November 2026. So this is very interesting, but it sends a signal to us that, yes, we are looking at the electronic tolling system, but it has to be as robust as possible. Let's go to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has capped gold buying incentive at $300 million as currency support costs rise. So when you go to Zimbabwe says Zimbabwe will cap government spending on gold buying incentive scheme at $300 million this year as authorities assess the cost and sustainability of using the program to support the country's currency. The government-backed scheme, which provides incentives linked to gold purchases, is part of broader effort to strengthen the Zimbabwe gold or ZiG currency and improve stability in the country's financial system. So Ghana has actually paved the way. Ghana has proven that we can use our gold sector to build our economy. And so other African countries are following suit, and they are capping, gold buying and all of that as a way of sustaining their gold sector and also building the economy. Let's go to Nigeria. We cannot do countries on the globe without going to Nigeria. What is the biggest story? Nigeria tax collections more than double to $18.5 billion as of July 2026. So Nigeria's tax collections rose by 113% to about 18.5 billion by July 2026 from approximately 8.4 billion in 2025. The Nigeria Revenue Service said, attributing the increase to tax digitization, new tax laws, and measures to close revenue loopholes. The NRS said in an internal report on the state of the Nigerian economy that a sharp rise in tax receipt was among several indicators showing Africa's most populous country was moving from severe macroeconomic pressures towards greater stability. So something good from Nigeria. You didn't expect that. You didn't expect that. And finally, on the continent, let's look at DR Congo. And DR Congo has ordered for checks after report flags uranium in cobalt exports. Now, the Democratic Republic of Congo has ordered independent checks on cobalt exports after a study reported traces of uranium in some shipments, raising concerns about potential health and environmental risks in one of the world's biggest sources of the battery metal. So you had, DR Congo is one of the biggest producers of uranium, and they are ordering some checks after there was a reported flag on their uranium. So it's very, very important that they check into that, because once you are banned on the world market, it means that whatever production you make, you are not able to sell your minerals to out of your country. So the government said it was investigating a study published July 30 in the scientific journal Nature Communications, as well as reports by international media alleging the presence of uranium in cobalt hydroxide exported from DR Congo. So cobalt is what they produce, and uranium is in there, and they are saying that there is a problem with the uranium that they produce. So these are some of the stories coming out of the continent. Let's move out of the continent now and look at what is happening globally. Now, global stocks rise as weak US jobs data eases. That is eases the Fed rate fears. So we are talking about the US now. Now, global stocks rose Monday as investors scaled back expectations of a near-term US interest rate hike after data showed the world's largest economy unexpectedly lost jobs in July. So some jobs were lost in the US, yeah, and that affected the global stocks. US employers cut 23,000 jobs last month alone. 23,000 jobs last month, while employment rate in May and June was revised lower. According to government data. So May and June, when they revised their unemployment rate, it went down. So unemployment rate went down in May and June. However, in July, a lot of jobs were cut. So it's likely to go up by the time data comes up. The probability of a September rate hike fell to about 43% from 64% a week earlier, according to Bloomberg. So, yeah, jobs were cut in the US. It's interesting to note. Let's look at Visa. There's a story coming concerning Visa. We all know Visa. I mean, the Visa that we all use when you go to the bank. Your Visa card. It's a whole company. It's a big multinational company, and Visa is cutting hundreds of jobs at its California headquarters, including senior managers, engineers, and technology staff, as the payments giant restructure its operations and redirect investment towards artificial intelligence and other growth areas. The layoffs are part of a global reduction of about 2,600 jobs announced by the company last week. Why won't this happen? It will happen because, now with digitalization, people hardly even use their ATM cards. Yes. So it means that production will generally come down. If we are not producing a lot of the cars, then the company is not making money. We know that they have diversified, yes, but of course, if Visa cards is their primary product, and if they are not producing, everybody is now transferring money from on their mobile phone. So you don't use the ATM card. I don't even know where my ATM card is. So it is very common for this to happen. Visa has cut lots of jobs, and it cut from above. So senior managers, engineers, and technology staff, the receptionist will be there. Nothing will happen. So that's what is coming from Visa. Let's look at EV, and I'm very, very, passionate about electronic vehicles. Whenever there's a story around that, I make sure I read it. I want to understand how the market is moving. Chinese EVs reach US roads through robo taxis despite steep tariff. So the US is placing a lot of tariffs on Chinese imports. That is goods that are imported from China to the US. But Chinese EV is actually making great waves in the US. And today we are hearing that they are on the roads, So Chinese made electronic vehicles are reaching US roads through robotaxi fleets, even as steep tariffs have largely kept them out of reach for American consumers. So the tariffs hit them, but they have managed to come in, and we are hearing through robotaxi. Hey, I'm sure the car will be driving by itself. US tariffs on Chinese-built electronic vehicles can reach 127.5%, limiting access to models from manufacturers including BYD, Zik, and others, according to industry reports. But import records show that thousands of Zik-R vehicles used by Alphabet's self-driving unit Waymo have entered the United States since 2024. More than 3,200 examples of the Zik-R vehicle, known in China as CMIE, have reportedly arrived through Los Angeles, including more than 2,600 in 2026 alone. So Chinese EV very soon. I think we have a lot of them here in Ghana, and I'm sure by let's give ourselves give or take some 3 years, we'll see a lot more of them on our roads. I think that I even saw somewhere that somebody was actually advertising cheaper ones that Ghanaians, if you have 50,000, between 50,000 and 90,000, the kind of Chinese vehicles that you could get, EV vehicles, and those are small ones for town running. So, when it comes, I think you should get one for town running. But that's our show. Today we decided to go around the continent and the globe to bring you some of the interesting business stories that you would want to know. EV is actually very, very interesting. It is the future. Very soon, everybody will be riding EV vehicles. So it is a story that whenever you come across, pay attention to and understand how it works. My name is Oye Walton Ankrah. Many thanks for your time, as always. And remember, this is where you get all the information that you need on stories shaping the Ghanaian economy. Have a good afternoon.